Alright, so we're going to be tier listing all of the killer aura reading perks in Dead by Daylight. Let's hop right into it. Up first is a Nurse's Calling. This is a super heavily slept on perk. It's a aura read on any healing survivors within 28 meters of your location. This is obviously going to be much better on killers who move fast like Blight, Billy, and Nurse. And it's also going to be better if you bring things that synergize with it, like, say, the Begrimed Head on the Huntress, which slows down healing by 25%. So you could go all the way from like a 4-second aura read if you got 2 people healing a survivor with Will Make It, all the way up to like a 40-second aura read if you hit a survivor with the Begrimed Head and they're using Self-Care, right? This is a super heavily slept on perk, and I'm not really sure why. Honestly, 28 meters is a pretty decent range. It used to be 32 in the past. And if it was 32 now, I would say it's S tier, but since they dropped it to 28, it does hurt it, and we're going to put it at A tier. Up next is Awakened Awareness from the Mastermind. Now, this perk, I almost want to put it in D tier, but I'm going to leave it in C for now and see how we feel about it later. You see the auras of survivors within 20 meters of you while carrying a survivor. Now, you can only carry a survivor for 16 seconds max. Iron Grip allows you to carry them for 18 to 20. If you're using Agitation, you'll be able to carry them further and cover more ground. At the end of the day, it's tied to carrying a survivor, which isn't great. It can be shut down, obviously, if somebody gets a flashy save on you, which is also not great. It's very niche. 20 meters isn't a lot, especially when you're carrying a survivor and moving slow, because obviously you're not always going to be using Agitation. So for that reason, I put it at C tier. Up next is our first S tier perk. This is from Bubba, the cannibal, I guess I should say. It's Barbecue and Chili. Now this perk is easily S tier for a few reasons. A 5-second aura read, 7 seconds with Lethal Pursuer. Anytime you hook a survivor, you see the auras of all other survivors who are 40 meters plus away. Now this is especially great for ranged killers like Huntress and Artist, but it's great for every killer in general because you know exactly where to go. But it does have some caveats. Its information and lack thereof give you more information. If you're running Lethal Pursuer, let's say, and you see the auras of all 4 survivors, and you hook a survivor, and you look out in the distance and you only see 1 aura, well, now you're going to know the other 2 survivors are within 40 meters of you. So you could check the gens that are closer, because you not seeing their auras tells you that they're closer than 40 meters. But if, say, you see a couple distortions, and you see an aura out in the distance, well, now you know I don't have to worry about wasting time checking out their gens. I can go to this person right here and make sure I'm not wasting time and get into a chase right away. So for the simple fact that it has the ability to get you right into another chase and keep the pressure up, which is especially needed on slower killers, it's an S tier perk. It's S tier across the board for every killer, pretty much no matter what. Up next, we have Bitter Murmur, and this is going to be kind of a controversial take. This is a general perk. You get an aura read on survivors for 5 seconds within 16 meters of a completed gen. There's a couple of problems with this. One, there's a big ass bubble that pops up when a generator is completed, and that bubble overwrites the aura read. So if a survivor sits right next to that gen and heals, you're not going to get an aura read at all. If the survivor's just fucking around by the generator because they're on their phone or something, you're not going to get an aura read at all. It's also got a 16 meter radius. The problem with that is a survivor 9 times out of 10 is probably going to have sprint burst ready, and they're going to sprint burst off the generator to another generator, and the black bubble is going to cover the first 2 seconds of the aura read, and they'll clear the 16 meter distance in the next 3 seconds. So you're not going to be getting, you'll probably get like a 2-second aura read max, even with Lethal Pursuer. They need to change this perk and make auras go over the bubbles, and also make it like 20 meters, 24. A very bad perk in my opinion. Definitely better than Awakened Awareness, but not great. Up next, we have, okay, I don't know why Rancor's here. I'm going aura reading perks that affect more than one survivor, not just the Obsession. So we got Darkness Revealed from the Dredge. This is a middle of the road perk. It's a safe option. You can't really go wrong. There's a few maps where locker spawns are absolutely terrible, and 1/4 of the map will just not be covered by darkness. Generators almost always have lockers by them, which isn't terrible, but there's a perk I like much better than this one, and I think provides much more value that we'll get to later. This is really best on killers that reload anyways. Huntress and Trickster are the only 2 in the game. I really wouldn't put this perk on anybody else. You know, this is kind of just like a passive benefit to those killers. It's also got a 30-second cooldown, which isn't great. None of the other perks so far have cooldowns at all. This one's the first one with the cooldown. It's 30 seconds. It's not crazy. You're probably not going to be throwing 30 hatchets or 44 knives in 30 seconds. So there's going to be a lot of downtime on this perk where even though it's off cooldown, you're not going to be using it. But you can just pop a locker to check it. It just depends. It's kind of a niche perk. It's a safe option, like I said, for killers who reload, but other than that, I wouldn't recommend bringing it on anybody else. But for the killers who do reload, it is a solid option. Up next is our first D tier aura reading perk. That is Deer Stalker. This is another general perk. It reveals the auras of survivors in the dying state within 32 meters of you. Now, this is just terrible. It's really not hard to keep track of your slugs. Just remember where you downed them at, search that area. You can hear them crying on the ground. You know, 32 meters. If anything, this is taking an entire perk slot. It should be map wide. And if it was map wide, it would probably still be A. It would probably be like A to B tier. I don't know. It's hard to tell. You know, you can't really tell unless you play with it and experience it in action. It would definitely be a hard counter to plot twist. But other than that, it's just not great. Survivors don't crawl very fast unless they have tenacity, in which case this perk would help out for sure. But yeah, it's not a great perk at all. And it's not worthy of taking an entire perk slot in my opinion. So yeah. Up next, this one's going to be one of the more difficult ones to rank because it's one of the only aura reading perks that also involves gen regression. Now this is Eruption from the Nemesis. Eruption it's a decent perk, but not really. It gives you a 10-second aura read on the survivor, 12 with lethal pursuer, so if you do proc Eruption with survivors on a gen, that'll eat 2 stacks of distortion, which could be good. But the problem with Eruption is it eats 2 regression states. You kick the generator for 5%, you down a survivor by any means, so this counts for hatchets too, which is nice. The generator explodes, that's 2 events gone at once, so you can only kick the generator 4 times. Not to mention, if a survivor's not on the gen, you're not going to get the aura read. So you could easily chew up all 8 regression events and not get a single aura read, and the gen's perma-blocked. I don't know. I don't know how you would fix this perk, really. Because if you could do it 8 times, that would be kind of crazy, honestly. So I don't know. But since it's so situational and so conditional, but it is also regression built in, I'm going to say it is C tier. All right, up next we have a unique perk from Deathslinger. That's Gearhead. Gearhead is S tier. I feel like this is a very heavily slept on perk. This perk used to be so situational and conditional and trash, and they buffed it so many times, and now it's in a great spot. Anytime you enter a survivor for the next 30 seconds, any survivor who hits a good skill check will have their auras revealed for 8 seconds, 10 with lethal. Now this is outstanding. It has no cooldown either, so if you hit a survivor, 25 seconds pass, you hit a survivor again, the timer starts back at 0 and you go all the way up to 30. And if a survivor hits a skill check at 29 seconds, you'll get an 8-second aura read, 10 with lethal anyways. So this is a very heavily slept on perk. I don't see a lot of people using it. This is really good at eating distortion very quickly, and especially if they have a gen rush build like Deadline or Hyper Focus, Stakeout, you know, or a really good toolbox that gives them a lot of skill checks. This is honestly a must run with how popular distortion is lately, and that's why it'll never leave my loadout. And yeah, so easy S tier perk. All right, Hangman Strick, easily the worst aura reading perk in the game. Again, the caveat to the aura reading being multiple people. Obviously, Grim Embrace is obsession only, Rancor's obsession only, so this is meant for multiple people. The problem with Hangman's Trick is it's tied to Scourge Hooks. Scourge Hooks have terrible spawning mechanics sometimes. Sometimes they get a good spread, sometimes they're all on one side of the map, sometimes they're all on the second story, and they're just not doing much. It was 8 meters around Scourge Hooks, they buffed it up to 12, it's still not enough. I've used this perk several times, and it just you'll get 1 to 2 procs of it a game. And on top of that, it shares the same caveat as Awakened Awareness, where it's only while carrying survivors. And it gives you a little notification that a hook's being sabotaged. Who cares? Garbage. Trash. Trash. They should have never made this a Scourge Hook perk. I don't know what they were thinking. This perk would be insane S tier if they made it to where it revealed the auras of survivors within 3 meters of a hook permanently. And you would know that they're going to sabotage because you would see their aura. And you can see people healing under hook, things like that. And yeah, I mean, maybe you could give the survivors a little icon that said Hangman's Trick, but this perk's just trash. It's from the pig, by the way, of course. So yeah. Alright, up next is a Hex perk, a Hex aura reading perk from the Night, Face the Darkness. This one's a tough one. So, whenever you enter a survivor, it's got a lot of stipulations to it. Whenever you enter a survivor and don't down them, so you have to enter a survivor and then let them go, every other survivor will scream every 25 seconds until the totem is cleansed or the survivor you injured first was put into the dying state. The aura reading you get on the survivor when they scream is 2 seconds, 4 with lethal pursuer. So you're basically getting a barbecue and chili proc every 25 seconds. Kind of insane, kind of nutty. The problem is, it's a hex perk. It can be mitigated by using Undying. If you put that original survivor into the dying state, though, it deactivates, which is also a benefit because now survivors can't cleanse it. So if you know survivors know where it's at, you can down the original survivor and protect it. And it causes survivors to scream. This is going to eat through distortion stacks. This is going to show you survivors no matter what, whether they have distortion or not. It is a hex perk, though. It's only 2 seconds if you don't have lethal. It's great. It's a little too situational to be S tier in my opinion. But that's where we'll put it. Alright, up next is Hex Retribution. This perk is, I just don't even know what to say about it. It's good, but can be absolute trash. Anytime a Hex Totem is cleansed, you see the survivors' auras, all of them, for 15 seconds straight. 17 with Lethal Pursuer. Now, that's amazing. A 17-second aura read, that's kind of crazy. The caveat is, if Retribution is the first thing cleansed, you get nothing. The other caveat is, you really only get a lot of value if you have multiple hex perks. This doesn't work with Plaything, so you may be thinking, oh hey, I can use Plaything and create a bunch of hex totems. Doesn't trigger Retribution. Or the times I have used it, Retribution was maybe the first one cleansed, and that's why I didn't get any value. You get the aura read on Retribution itself, if it's cleansed, but anytime people cleanse anything after that, any of the Plaything totems after that, I never got aura read. So it could be the few times I used it that it didn't proc. Regardless, even if it does proc on Plaything totems, I mean 17 seconds, 15 seconds is huge, don't get me wrong. It's supposed to be a trap hex totem perk. I think Haunted Ground is better. I think Pentamento's better. I mean, yeah, it's just not, I don't want to say it's not great, but it's situational. It could be the first one cleansed, and then nothing. You know what I mean? You get the one aura read, and that's it. Which still could be huge, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll try using it in a build and try to like get 4 uses out of it in a match, because that'd be like 60 seconds of aura reading, which would be crazy. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I'll put it right here. Since it's so conditional, I'll put it in C tier. All right, Undying. I almost didn't want to include this one. You see the auras of survivors within 3 meters of a dull totem. The problem is, what do you use Undying for? To give hex perks second lives. So immediately you have one other hex perk, and then you have Undying, and now you have 3 totems. So you have 3 totems with 3 meter aura reads. Not great. Not great at all. If you're using this perk for aura reading alone, which you're not gonna be, it's absolutely garbage. But since it gives hex perks a second life, we'll just put it at B tier. Because even though I consider it an S tier hex perk, for aura reading, it's not great. Alright, we're not even going to talk about... Wait. No, we are going to talk about Shattered Hope, actually. Oh, shit. Hope. Okay, I like that, actually. I don't know what the hell that was. Wait, let's pull up a new window. I don't even know what the aura reading on Shattered Hope does. Instead of snuffing a boon totem, you destroy them. Reveals the auras of survivors within the range at that moment for 8 seconds. So it's got a 24 meter range, or a 28 meter range. And it's 8 seconds of aura read, 10 with lethal. Right there. Ever since Boon Circle of Healing got killed, this perk died. It never even had a chance to do anything, honestly. That's a general perk, by the way. And Retribution is a perk from the Deathslinger. I forgot to mention that. And Undying is a perk from the Blight. I forgot to mention that. Oh, well. Alright, then we got I'm All Ears from Ghostface. I have some problems with this perk. Whenever a survivor fast vaults a window within 48 meters of your position, you get a 5-second aura read. 7 with lethal. 48 meters is huge. You can be chasing somebody, and they're about to vault a window, and another survivor 40 meters away fast vaults a window, and they steal the aura read. Not to mention, it's got... Wait, what's its cooldown? It's a 30-second cooldown, right? Or is it 45 seconds? 40-second cooldown. Yikes. We're not going to put it in D tier just for the simple fact that if the survivor you are chasing procs it, and you get a nasty hit out a window, or it wins you the chase on an injured survivor, it really does help in that regard. But other than that, it is not great. 40-second cooldown, you could take this thing down to a 5-second cooldown, honestly. That would probably make it A tier. Yeah, I don't know, maybe a 10-second cooldown, I don't know. Yeah, not great, not great. Up next, the legendary perk, Lethal Pursuer from the Nemesis. Now, what's there to say about this perk? This is probably one of the most hated aura rating perks of all time. It was one of the worst aura rating perks of all time back when it just gave you the 7-second aura read on survivors. They buffed it because nobody used it ever, because that was absolutely trash. They buffed it to extend the aura rating duration of all other aura rating perks by 2 seconds, including itself, making it 9 in total. This is a great perk. If this perk ever gets nerfed, you will see the rise of Corrupt Intervention again. I don't know if you guys were playing before Lethal Pursuer, but Corrupt Intervention was like, dude, its pick rate was insane. You saw it every single match. You still see it a lot now. If Lethal Pursuer gets nerfed, people will be using Corrupt Intervention, even though Corrupt Intervention got nerfed. Anyways, being able to see the auras of all survivors within 9 seconds of the match, and it immediately telling you which survivors have distortion, is awesome. Immediately gets you into a chase. This perk is way better on faster killers and range killers who can do something with that information than slower killers, but it still extends the aura reading duration of all perks and add-ons. So, for example, the Huntress has the Glowing Concoction. Anytime you hit a survivor with a hatchet, their aura is revealed for 5 seconds. 7 with Lethal Pursuer. An absolutely outstanding perk, a very great perk, easily S tier. Pretty much never left my kit ever since I started doing all aura reads on Huntress. Awesome. Nothing else really to say about it. It's a really good perk. Really good perk. Alright, so we got a unique perk from the Night, Nowhere to Hide. Now this perk is the reason why I put Darkness Revealed where it's at. This is also an S tier perk. And there's one pretty big reason for it. It's tied to generators. Okay, Darkness Revealed is tied to lockers. This is tied to generators. Yes, lockers are mostly around generators, but the aura reading is 24 meters instead of 8 meters. And it's tied to your killer for 5 seconds after kicking that generator. 7 seconds with Lethal Pursuer. The benefit to that is if you kick a generator, you look around and you don't see anybody, you start moving in one direction, you could walk, or you could run for 4 seconds and then see somebody for 1 second with your aura read. Or you could walk 6 seconds and then see somebody for 1 second with your aura read if you're using Lethal Pursuer. So this is great for that reason. The second reason is because not only is it 24 meters connected to your killer, but also survivors love to hide right next to generators. If you got a generator at 30, 40, 50%, survivors do not want to leave that generator. They want to get that generator popped. That's obviously their goal. Especially if you catch a generator out at like 90%, they're not going to leave. There's a lot of survivors who I'll see with barbecue and chili. I'll go across the map to them, and then I get to their generator, and they're nowhere to be found. And I literally cannot find them at all. Like, I'll spend like 10, 15, 20 seconds looking for these survivors, can't find them at all. And then I end up having to go to another generator and checking multiple different generators, sometimes wasting up to an entire minute looking for survivors. But this perk negates that. You go to that generator, you kick that generator, you see a survivor hiding 6 meters away if they don't have distortion. Now, 9 times out of 10, you caught them in a dead zone and they go down pretty much instantly. I've had a lot of people DC after I found them hiding, waiting, trying to greet a generator. And yeah, this is definitely an S tier perk, definitely a really good perk. Unfortunately, it's tied to the killer, and it's very strong, much so stronger on Blight, Nurse, and Billy. It also has no cooldown, by the way, so you can kick 2 gens like back to back. And it shouldn't have a cooldown, honestly, because you can only kick gens 8 times. It's limited, so yeah. It'll probably get nerfed, honestly, because Blight and Billy can use it, or Blight and Nurse can use it so well. Billy can too, but Blight and Nurse are pretty much the reason why everything gets nerfed in this game, so. Alright, up next, we have a unique perk from Oreo. That Scourge Hook Floods of Rage. Where do I want to put this? It's definitely better than Darkness. We'll put it in A. Whenever you hook a survivor on a Scourge Hook and they get unhooked, you get Floods of Rage. You get aura reads on every survivor for 7 seconds. 9 with Lethal Pursuer. So you could get a maximum of, 12 hooks in the game. That would be everybody killed. But oh, you would get a maximum of 9 uses, actually, because it doesn't proc if they die. So that's like, what, 9 times 9? 89 seconds of aura reading? Kind of crazy. The problem is, it's connected to Scourge Hooks. That's tough. Some Scourge Hooks are poorly positioned. I've used this perk multiple times, and I would say I probably get like 4 to 5 uses a match, which isn't terrible, but sometimes you just can't get any use at all, and it really sucks. You know, you could combine it with agitation to get more value out of it, but then that's one less aura reading perk you got. So we'll put in A tier. It would be S easily if it procced on every hook. It would probably be insane though. So yeah. Also, one thing to note, I just realized if a survivor has deli and they self unhook, doesn't work. If you're using Monster Shrine and the survivor has Wicked and you got them in basement, doesn't work either. All right, now we got Thwack. Thwack is kind of an interesting perk. It's definitely interesting. This is from the Gearhead merchant, and it requires a hook on a survivor. It's basically tokenized almost. You hook a survivor, this icon lights up, and anytime you kick a pallet or a breakable wall, any survivor within 32 meters of you screams and has their aura revealed for 4 seconds. So it's cool that they scream, because that cancels distortion, right? But also, it affects multiple people at once. If for some reason you have 3 people within 32 meters of you, or you're playing on an indoor map, and it's really small, and you kick a pallet, you could get 4 aura reveals and 4 screams all at once. The problem with it, though, is it requires a hook. I will say it's better than Deerstalker. I will say it's better than Retribution. I will say it's better than Awakened Awareness. And that's as far as I'd go with it. Hooks are kind of a lot. You get a limited amount. It's any hook at all, but it also requires you to kick a pallet or a wall. You don't always want to kick walls because you could be opening up a good spot for survivors. Sometimes you don't want to kick pallets because you need to catch up and get the down quick. If this was kicking a generator, after you hook a survivor, you kick a generator. Within 32 meters of that generator, they scream and reveal their aura. This would be like an A, maybe S tier perk. But it's not. So it's connected to pallets and walls, which isn't great. So we'll put it at C tier. And then the last true aura reading perk is Territorial Imperative. Where do we go? I was going to create a new tier for it, but let's not do that. I was just going to goof around. Territorial Imperative, I'll put right above Deerstalker. That's it. It reveals the auras of survivors who go into the basement for 6 seconds, 8 with lethal, if you're further than 24 meters away, and this has got a 45-second cooldown. Why? This perk is so bad. Huntress has some of the worst perks in the game. And this perk has been reworked, actually. It got reworked with that huge perk update. It's still trash. It's still trash. I mean, I guess it's a benefit to basement camping killers. Like, if you want to camp basement, you know, you could bring Territorial Imperative, but at the same time, like, dude, Barbecue and Chili's much better than Territorial Imperative. Darkness Revealed is much better than Territorial Imperative, you know, because there's a trillion lockers in basement. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good. It's better than Deerstalker for sure, but yeah. That does it for this one. That was the killer aura reading perk tier list. I was going to do all perks, but I think it's kind of hard to rank perks, you know, like how do you compare, you know, Bitter Murmur to Pain Res, you know what I mean? So I'm doing them by category. This is the aura reading version, and then we'll do a different one for chase perks, and then a different one for regression perks and things like that. But yeah, that does it for this one. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one.